On September 19th, 2023, Azerbaijan launched a military operation on the region of Nagorno-Karabakh, which is largely represented by the ethnic Armenian population. And within 24 hours, Azerbaijan reclaimed control over the region. Azerbaijan's military operation led to the evacuation of about 100,000 ethnic Armenians, or about 80% of the total population of Nagorno-Karabakh, which fled to Armenia within a week. Before we move ahead, let us understand the geography as well as the history behind the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Armenia is a landlocked country which is located in the South Caucasus, which is surrounded by Azerbaijan to the east, Georgia to the north, and Turkey to the west. The total population of Armenia is about 2.7 million people, of which about 92% of the people living in Armenia are Christians. On the other hand, Azerbaijan, as mentioned earlier, is the neighboring country of Armenia. About 95% of the total population living in Azerbaijan is Muslim, and the total population of Azerbaijan is over 10 million people. Azerbaijan is 3 times as big of a country as Armenia when it comes to population. What is the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan? The conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia started in 1917 after the fall of the Russian Empire. Both the countries fought over the land of Nagorno-Karabakh, which consists of an ethnic Armenian population. As per the recent statistics, about 99.7% of the total population living in the region of Nagorno-Karabakh is ethnic Armenian. Armenians have time and again claimed their right over the land of Nagorno-Karabakh, and this claim is not decades or centuries old. The historical claim dates back to centuries before the birth of Jesus Christ. After the fall of the Russian Empire in 1917, the Bolsheviks established control over Armenia and Azerbaijan, and as they established their rule over this region, they also made both Azerbaijan and Armenia a part of the Transcaucasian Socialist Soviet Republic along with Georgia. However, in 1923, the then leader of the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin, placed Nagorno-Karabakh under the administration of the Azerbaijani Soviet Socialist Republic, but with an autonomous status. Despite having over a 95% population of ethnic Armenians, Joseph Stalin decided to place Nagorno-Karabakh under the administration of Azerbaijan. The question here arises, why did Stalin decide to include Nagorno-Karabakh under the administration of Azerbaijan? There are a couple of reasons for this decision specifically. Soviet Union wanted to pacify their relationship with Turkey. What has Turkey got to do with Azerbaijan? Turkey and Azerbaijan have close links, specifically when it comes to their culture and language, and they share a brotherhood in that regard, and they've been allies even before the control of the USSR. Another reason is that although Nagorno-Karabakh has a majority of ethnic Armenian population, but it is still surrounded heavily by Azerbaijani areas. So the USSR wanted to draw territorial lines where one nationality would be in majority. It is important to note that the USSR drew territorial lines or borders on the basis of strategic and administrative reasons. The country did not consider the wishes, the desires, or even the historical territorial claims of the affected populations. For the next 6 to 7 decades, when the USSR was in power, there were no major conflicts that took place between Armenia and Azerbaijan. However, as the USSR began to collapse in 1988, the question of Nagorno-Karabakh re-emerged. Nagorno-Karabakh has always wanted to unify with Armenia, and hence they passed a resolution in 1988 for the inclusion of Nagorno-Karabakh in Armenia. But this resolution was rejected by both the USSR as well as Azerbaijan. And after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, Nagorno-Karabakh declared independence, and it became the Republic of Nagorno-Karabakh, or the Republic of Artsakh. And at the same time, both Armenia as well as Azerbaijan declared independence and statehood as well. And although the Republic of Artsakh became independent, it still maintained close ties with the Republic of Armenia. However, a war broke out between Armenia and Azerbaijan over the region of Artsakh, and as a result of this war, about 30,000 people died and about 1 million people were displaced. Armenia took control of the region of Artsakh as well as gained 20% of the territory of Azerbaijan, which resulted in about 1 million Azerbaijani people becoming refugees. In 1994, Russia was able to negotiate a ceasefire between the two countries, which was known as the Bishkek Protocol. And under this protocol, Russia declared the region of Nagorno-Karabakh as a de facto independent state. However, it still relied heavily, specifically for political, economic, as well as military assistance on Armenia. This declaration was in place for the most part up until 2016, when a 4-day war broke out between the two countries. Armenia claimed that Azerbaijan had launched a military attack on Nagorno-Karabakh, wherein Azerbaijani helicopters carried out a massive airstrike on Armenian soldiers, along with military tanks and artillery. On the other hand, Azerbaijan blamed Armenia and called Armenia as the aggressor. As I mentioned earlier, this was the 4-day war, and this war witnessed dozens of casualties on both sides, after which both the countries decided to agree on a ceasefire, but they kept blaming each other for ceasefire violations. But the situation re-escalated in 2020 when a full-fledged war broke out between the two countries. This war was also known as the Second Nagorno-Karabakh War. In September 2020, Azerbaijan launched air as well as ground attacks. This war was concluded on 10th November 2020 when Armenia, Azerbaijan and Russia signed a 9-point agreement. This war lasted for about 44 days and had about 6,500 casualties and witnessed the displacement of thousands of people on both sides. Not only that, but Azerbaijan reclaimed all of the territories that it had lost in the first war against Armenia. It reclaimed control over 7 districts that it had lost earlier to Armenia in 1994. This agreement also led to the deployment of about 2,000 Russian soldiers in the Lakin Corridor. The Lakin Corridor serves as a transit route connecting Armenia to the region of Nagorno-Karabakh. Fast forward to 2022, in September 22, a conflict again broke out, which lasted for about 2 days and witnessed about 300 casualties. Then again, in December 2022, Azerbaijani activists backed by the Azeri government occupied the Lakin Corridor, stating that the illegal mining taking place in Nagorno-Karabakh was causing environmental degradation, and as a result of this blockade, all the traffic from Armenia was blocked. This blockade resulted in the shortage of food supplies from Armenia to Nagorno-Karabakh. Not only did it result in the shortage of food, but also important and basic necessities as well as medical assistance. And despite the presence of the Russian soldiers in the Lakin Corridor, they did little to nothing to reopen the corridor. The corridor was blocked for months until Armenia and Azerbaijan reached an agreement on 9th September 2023. Just days after this agreement took place, on 19th September, Azerbaijan launched a military offensive, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, in which over 200 casualties were reported and over 100,000 ethnic Armenians evacuated the region and fled to Armenia. Now that we've discussed the history of the conflict, let us also understand the important countries that play a huge role in this conflict. Now let us talk about Russia, as Russia has had a significant role to play. Russia has been an ally of Armenia since the beginning of this war. Not only that, but it also has maintained good relations with Azerbaijan. Russia has been a mediator in this conflict and has tried to become a guarantor of peace in the region. And this is clear from the agreements that Russia was successfully able to negotiate in 1994 as well as 2020. However, Russia's role has been significantly declining in this conflict. Why is Russia's role as a mediator in the Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict declining? In December 2022, when Azeri soldiers blocked the Lakin Corridor, Russian soldiers were deployed, but they did little to nothing, as I mentioned earlier, to prevent the blockade or to reopen the blockade. Up until that point, both sides were unwilling to risk the loss of a Russian soldier. However, things started to change as Russia and Ukraine war began in February 2022. The situation in Nagorno-Karabakh also escalated after the Russia-Ukraine war. And this was because of the fact that Russia's focus was diverted from this conflict to their own conflict. It is important here to mention that Russia has signed a treaty with Armenia to protect its interests. Things further escalated between Russia and Armenia when the Armenian Prime Minister stated that depending solely on Russia for security purposes was a mistake. The Kremlin was upset with the statement that was made by the Prime Minister, and in response to the statement said that Armenia was making a huge mistake flirting with the West. Armenia does not have any allies apart from Russia, specifically in that region. Armenia has started exploring ties with the US for military and security support. After making the statement, Armenia announced it was providing humanitarian aid aid to Ukraine. And soon after, the wife of Armenian President Anna Hakobian paid an official visit to Ukraine, which did upset Kremlin, and the Kremlin summoned Armenian ambassador for difficult talks. It is important here to note that Armenia has also ratified International Criminal Court's founding treaty, which has further aggravated Russia. Now, as per this treaty, Armenia would be bound to arrest President Vladimir Putin if he steps foot on the Armenian soil. Both Armenia and Russia are unhappy with each other's decision, which is jeopardizing their decades-long relationship. As mentioned earlier, Armenia is looking for new allies, and it specifically is looking at the US for assistance. Not only that, but the US has verbally supported Armenia and condemned Azerbaijan's attack. Not only that, but after the two-day conflict that took place, the then US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi paid a visit along with a delegation to Armenia and condemned the actions of Azerbaijan. This move of Armenia exploring their relationship with the US could further distance Armenia from Russia. Another important country in this conflict is Turkey. Turkey has pledged support to Azerbaijan, and the Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan has said that he supports Azerbaijan to the end. Turkey has close ties with Azerbaijan as both countries are culturally and linguistically linked to each other. And Turkey has always supported Azerbaijan's claim over the land of Nagorno-Karabakh. Not only that, but it has become Azerbaijan's third largest weapons supplier and also trains Azeri soldiers. But why is Turkey backing Azerbaijan? Is it just because of their brotherly relationship? Is it just because of their cultural and linguistic ties? Or is there more to the story? Well, that's only a part of it. Azerbaijan is rich in oil and gas and produces about 800,000 barrels of oil per day. Turkey imports gas from Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan's state oil company has become the largest foreign investor in Turkey. Not only that, but Turkey also wants to have their geopolitical influence over the region of Nagorno-Karabakh, which it can later on exercise in its region. Turkey has also called the Minsk Group that acts as a mediator between Armenia and Azerbaijan and is co-chaired by US, France and Russia as ineffective. Not only that, but Turkey and Armenia do not share friendly relations, and this dates back to over a century ago when the First World War began. During the First World War, the Ottoman Empire killed 1.5 million Armenians in 1915 to 1916. However, Turkey has denied these claims. 34 countries, including the US, Russia, and Germany, have formally recognized the genocide of Armenians. Iran has also been somewhat of a significant player, which has urged for peaceful negotiations between the two countries. Iran has maintained its neutral stance for the most part in this conflict. However, Azerbaijan has blamed Iran for siding with Armenia. It is important to note that Iran is home to the people of both the countries. It has both the Armenian people living as well as the Azerbaijani people living. Now, while Iran has recognized Nagorno-Karabakh as a part of Azerbaijan, it has provided humanitarian assistance to Armenia's impacted population. One of the most significant reasons as to why Iran is supportive of Armenia is because Armenia is situated in a strategic position which connects Iran to Europe through Georgia and the Black Sea, thereby serving as a strong strategic and economic partner. Another important group that is served as a mediator in this regard is the Minsk Group. The Minsk Group was established in 1922 and consists of the US, Russia, and France. The Minsk Group has acted as a peaceful negotiator and mediator and has successfully been able to negotiate ceasefires. However, it has not been able to come up with a permanent solution for this conflict. European Union, on the other hand, has started to play an active role. Earlier this year, European Union launched its mission that was aimed to provide ground reporting and to build confidence between the people of Armenia and Azerbaijan. European Union has also started to take an active role in this conflict. Despite the efforts of all the countries that have been involved in this conflict, there has not been a significant solution to put an end to this conflict. And with the ongoing conflicts in the world, it is unclear as to which direction will the Armenian and Azerbaijani conflict go, and what role will the international community play in this regard. Do you think that we will be able to see a permanent solution and an agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan in the near future? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video valuable, please share it with your friends and family. And also, please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching and have a great day.